Please state the case of the county.
Okay. All right. On June 8th, 2022, I arrived in regards to assisting county police with removing 4 dogs due to the owner having been taken for an evaluation. According to police and crisis on scene, the owner, Mr. Poole, had been living outside in a small barn on the property since December of 2021. The dogs had been living in the barn with him. I witnessed negligible living conditions both inside of the barn and in the outdoor enclosed runs where the dogs had been going in and out of. The outdoor runs were muddy and had trash and debris everywhere. It also reeked of fecal matter. I did not witness any water for the dogs inside the runs or within the barn. The inside of the barn where Mr. Poole had been living was also full of trash and smelled even worse of feces and urine. I did note lots of empty cans of cat food and mostly empty bag of dog food next to a large bag of cat food, but at least 3 of the dogs did appear to be underweight. And due to the aggression of all the dogs, I did have to remove them with a catch pole, so I wasn't able to put my hands on them. And then after making several attempts with Mr. Poole's next of kin to take the dogs, none of them would take them, so I did have to serve him with a 10-day letter for commission.
Okay. Anything further? Do we have photos?
There should be photos. I did call witnesses today from crisis, but unfortunately none of them could attend.
I can present those photos momentarily. Just pulling them up now.
Those are the same photos that are in the shared folder?
Yes, sir, but we can definitely show them to get them into the record here.
Very well.
Officer Bowen, it would be helpful for me if you could describe what the pictures are showing at the time. I mean, because this looks like a shed, but you referenced a barn.
I would describe it as a barn. So the photo right now is the back of the barn where Mr. Poole had been living with the dogs. And there are photos of the runs that they were going in and out of that gave them access to the outside. So like this right here is the back. You can kind of see where there's the stalls and everything. I don't know what originally was being kept in there.
In the back of in the previous photo, Officer Bowen, that what is in the center of the wall that we're looking at? What is that?
On the floor?
No, on the wall itself. There's a Oh, so that's a hole.
Yeah, it might have been a shelf.
There's nothing in there that indicates any kind of environmental control, heat, AC, or anything like that.
There was nothing.
Thank you.
So like this is one of the stalls. Like I said, I assume there was originally livestock in here. I'm not really sure, but the dogs were going in and out of these stalls and they were all full of debris and trash and, dirt and feces.
Officer Bowen, can you describe the flooring to me?
I would describe, yes, sir. The flooring, as you can see, there's like chicken wire, possibly. There's trash everywhere. It was unsafe conditions for the dogs.
Sorry, Officer Bowen, in that prior picture, that actually looked like metal flooring. When you zoom in, you see that.
I believe those were actually rubber mats, if I remember correctly, but there was like metal pieces on top of it. You can see the wiring in the corner.
Okay.
In any of the stalls, was there exposed dirt or ground?
There was mud that had been washed in from the outside runs, including feces.
Thank you.
Officer Bowen, there was one picture with a hose in it that appeared to have black mold around it. I wanted to see that one again. Yeah. Would that be your take? Was that black mold around the hose? That's
what it looked like, and it looked like there was some insulation on the ground. The barn was relatively dilapidated.
Thank you.
Who owns this barn?
It had originally belonged to Mr. Poole's parents. They passed away in December of 2021, and according to Crisis on Scene, that's how long he had been living in there.
Is there a house on the property as well?
The house, that was part of why he was taken for the eval. It was left to his next of kin, and it's not livable. No one's there. So he wouldn't be able to go back there. It's my understanding. So like these are the outdoor runs I was talking about. The dogs had access to go in and out. Like you can see all the trash in there.
And Officer Bowen, what first alerted you to this?
County police called us. Generally, when we have citizens taken for hospitalization, arrest, or in this case, a mental evaluation, we come and take the dogs under protective custody. I did have to serve him with a 10-day letter because I couldn't get next of kin to take the dogs. So this was the process.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do we have any documentation of animal control examining the dogs? Any sort of assessment?
We have the animal data sheets, but I was told there's nothing of significance on them because the dogs are severely aggressive.
Okay.
You have no photos of the dogs at intake?
No, sir. They were severely aggressive.
So, the dogs you mentioned, you thought they were underweight. I mean, what breeds of dogs were they? I mean, how could you describe like potentially, the type of dog and how they looked underweight?
Yes, so they're all 4 of them German Shepherd mixes. They're all large dogs, and at least one of them, I could see its ribs through its coat, and the others, I could see their hip bones. But again, because of their aggression, I did not get photos upon intake.
And I may have missed it in some photos. I saw the hose, but I didn't really see any dishes or bowls of water laying around. And I was interested in the condition of the water. Did you observe that?
They did not have any water at my time of arrival.
Okay, and I didn't see any bags of food or anything around either in any of the photos.
There was 1 half-empty bag of dog food.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And there is a bowl in photo 1071 that's elevated, but it's empty as I look at it. Is that the only bowl you saw in there, Officer Bowen?
Yes.
All right, do we have anything else for Officer Bowen at this time? Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the defendant, Mr. Poole. Now is your chance to state your case, sir.
Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know why there was no water bowl, because when I was escorted off the property, they had a full water bowl. It was to the right of that well pump. And it is well water, which is I was drinking it, which it was fine. It was easily safe. And the bowl that you had saw in the picture was their food bowl that I was moved because that was on the floor as well. They were only permitted to one of those kennels. They would go outside and come into the main area. They were not locked in those small cells. They would lay on that blanket that was on the floor. And I would take them out every time they wanted to. It's been a long time outside. The one that you could probably see the ribs on was Zoe. She has like a slim body, I would say. She has a hard time gaining weight of any kind. So as soon as she had, I would say, inadequate amounts of food, she would severely lose weight. And I was trying my best to get stretch the food I had, because I had nobody to count on when it came to helping me. As was stated before, my parents had died December, and the property went to my sister Autumn. She had filed eviction notice and required that I not have the dogs in the property. So I moved them down to the kennel, which was its original purpose, to hold the previous owner's dogs. And if I wanted, I could have stayed in the house all that time, but I could not sleep without them. I couldn't go about my day without them, so I moved my living arrangements down to the kennel. They are all aggressive. I understand that. My mother was Melissa Kraus. She was a prolific rescuer for Barks and a couple other places. Probably about 6-7 years ago, which is why she allowed them to come here, come back. Zoe was passed from owner to owner and had separation anxiety, as well as she had abusive problems. Oh, she was abused. So she came back to us and we kept her because nobody else would deal with her. Her attitude, because we were so isolated in that at that address, her attitude spread to the other dogs when it came to people. So their first instinct is to be aggressive. But I've been trying. I don't have very many people that would come around, so it's hard to train that out of a dog when there's no people to train it with. So yeah, I'm sorry. The day that this all happened, I had an argument with my sister, and I said words to the length of "I'll kill you," which was not okay. Shouldn't have said that. And it led to her lying, calling the police about saying that I threatened to sick the dogs on her, which I did not do. And then proceeded to file the protective order that kicked me off the property and prevented me from taking care of the dogs as far as I could. From what I saw of the written statement, there were many things that were untrue, and generally far different than what my character would suggest. I love these dogs. They are my life. You should not have it. I don't know what else to say.
Why are you talking about that? This is what I don't want.
Okay. All right. I have one question before we proceed, Mr. Poole. What are the possibilities of obtaining a better environment for yourself and the dogs should they be returned?
Experience that I experienced with you. You're talking.
I'm sorry. Somebody's got some background noise going on. Okay.
So I've been in contact with the head of a rescue well about fostering the animals, and several other organizations about fostering them for a couple months because nobody wants to help me.
Okay, does any other commissioner have any questions for Mr. Poole?
I have one. Mr. Poole, you said you've reached out to several different rescues. What's the status of those requests for aid with you and the dogs?
Can you answer this question? Is she number one in contact with them? Okay, if she.
Hello. What was the question?
So you need to be sworn in first.
Hold
Yes.
on, you have to be sworn in first.
Okay.
If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Yep, my name is Summer Thompson, and I am the treatment coordinator here at Harbor House. My address is.
Thank you.
Okay, you may go.
Yes. So, what was the question?
The question I had is Mr. Poole said that he's reached out to a couple different rescue organizations to take the dogs and foster them out during this transition time for Mr. Poole. What's the status of that?
So we are still working on that. So I believe I heard him mention we have reached out to Rescue Well. They are kind of taking a little bit to respond to messages. I've also reached out to 911 Foster, I believe is the website. And we are, as of last time I checked, we're still waiting for somebody to foster them. And part of our program is helping Mr. Robert here find a stable place to live. So we have a care coordinator on site, and their job is they are actively looking for residency for him. So what our goal has kind of been up until this point was we were hoping that we could just find somebody to foster until we are able to find him more of a stable place to live.
Is the game plan to get Mr. Poole into a place that he's good with, and then get the dogs back from foster? Is that the game plan? Okay.
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions?
Yeah, I've got another question for Officer Poole. Officer Bone, excuse me.
Yes, sir.
What's animal control's position in holding the dogs until they can be fostered out? Is that something animal control is capable of doing? Is something they can do, or what is animal control's plan with the dogs?
So we're not a boarding facility. We can't keep them long term in that situation. The only time we have dogs that long term is when they're true neglect cases under protective custody. We've already had them a little over a month now. I would not describe them as adoptable candidates because of their aggression, and I wouldn't really feel comfortable with them going to someone other than Mr. Poole. But again, he's not necessarily in the position to have them at this moment due to being in a halfway house.
So it's my understanding that at this point in time, the county has no arrangements to hold animals for citizens that are in a transition for any period of time for mental health issues. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct. We do have a domestic violence program, but our maximum hold is 20 days.
Okay.
Yeah, if I may jump in, if you all don't mind, we do have kind of a pilot program going, but it's very small scale. We don't have enough fosters to keep it going. And it's something that we were doing with the state and the county. Our shelter is very full. We've been running free animals for over a month now because we need space. As you all know, care for the animals is of utmost importance. It's not fair for these animals to be in a situation where we can't safely provide them the enrichment and other things that they need. That's not something that we believe is humane to do for them.
Agreed.
So
Okay.
what happens from this point? I mean, if we don't have a foster and Mr. Poole isn't able to take them back right away, what happens to these dogs?
Unfortunately, humane euthanasia would be the only option that we could offer them. Again, we have to think about the quality of life for the animals. And just keeping them alive for the sake of keeping them alive, where they can't have human interaction. If there's only one person that they can safely be handled by and that person can't take care of them, it's not fair to the animals, nor is it fair to the staff or volunteers to have to watch and see that on a regular basis. That's not what we're here for. We are to ensure the humane care of animals, and just warehousing animals is not that.
If the decision is that I don't get them back, is there a number of days before the euthanasia?
Sir, you'll have the ability if their recommendation today, and what they do is they make a recommendation to the chief of police, and then she decides whether or not she's going to uphold their recommendation or not. If they recommend that, and then she decides to uphold the recommendation that they do not get returned to you, then you'll have 30 days to appeal to the Board of Appeals.
Can I jump in? Can I jump in for a moment? So if that decision is made, if we are able to find a foster within that 30 days, what would I'm just curious, would that change the situation at all? Would we still be able to foster if that happens?
As Officer Bowen said, the concern is the safety of them that foster. So Mr. Poole would really have to have a space that he could have the animals for us to feel comfortable releasing them, because we do not want to put someone in a situation where they could be attacked and even killed by dogs with known aggression.
Okay.
Okay, I think we got a pretty good picture of the situation here. Everybody satisfied with any more questions at all? I want everybody to feel that we have a complete.
I have a couple. First of all, I'd like to know how old these dogs are.
2.5 years. The three their sisters Zoe, Willow, and Harley are all 2.5 years old. Titan, the large male is, I believe, around 5 years old.
Do they have a veterinarian that has been treating them?
I believe it was at first they were treated at Everhart, and 1 year they were treated they were seen by a I guess like a house call, like farm doctor. I don't remember his name. My mother used to use because we lived on a farm with horses.
And are there any other reports for these animals? I mean, this is the first time they've ever come to animal control's attention.
Yes, this is the first time they've been to animal control.
Thank you.
Excuse me. Also, our program director has been sitting right here listening in, and he was wondering if he is able to jump on. He said he's fine with swearing in. Is that something that is okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't quite get what you said.
Our program director who runs the program that Mr. Poole is at right now has been sitting right here and has been listening in, and he was wondering if he could talk. He doesn't mind swearing in.
He doesn't like swearing in, or he doesn't mind swearing in?
Doesn't mind.
Okay. Phil, then you can bring him forward, and we'll have him sworn in as a witness, and he may speak.
If you would please state your name and address for the record.
Yes, my name is Frank Laws, and I'm the program director at Harbor House Crisis Bed.
Thank you kindly. You are good to proceed.
All right, so I've been kind of listening to the conversation a little bit, and I'm pretty sure that everybody here on the panel understands what mental health is. I'm pretty sure everybody understands that Mr. Poole is in a mental health facility. What you guys didn't see was the body language. I think I heard something about the dogs may be put down. Was that about accurate?
Yes, sir.
If he doesn't have found a place to go. So I guess what I'm saying at the end of the day, that he's already in a crisis bed and given this information, and now that we're going to be here dealing with the pieces of the mental health piece, because that's a lot for anyone to process, especially if they're animal lovers such as Mr. Poole. And I'm trying to figure out, what do we do with this new information now that we're only a 10-day crisis bed, because this is run by the county. And at this point, I'm looking at his body language, and I don't think that he's able to even handle it. And I understand the effect of the dogs, and I understand the effect of the dogs are not being friendly with other people. I was in and out because I have other things to do here as well. But I'm just trying to figure out, with his mental capacity at this point and given this information, what do you think the recommendation should be at this point?
I don't think that we can really state on that. We're taking everything in right now. We will be deliberating later. If there are any further questions that the commissioners wish to ask, we can call a witness back, even yourself. to ask, but everything will be given full consideration when we deliberate. And again, any decision that's made here today is a recommendation to the chief of police or their representative. Doesn't necessarily mean that it will be adopted. There's a good chance it probably will, but there are appeal procedures after that as well that must be gone through. But this commission board will take every aspect of testimony today into consideration when we do deliberate.
All right. Yeah. So I would really just ask that you guys really do take in consideration, because at the end of the day, you know, we are a crisis bed and we're already dealing with individuals that are in crisis. And this right here, to me, is just going to exacerbate what he's been going through. And it's just hard enough alone just with his complex situation with him, the sister, the animals, and just trying to find him a place to go that's going to be able to accommodate his animals as well. I'm just afraid that this is going to end him right back in the hospital. And the whole purpose of being in the crisis bed is to decrease the hospitalizations. And I'm just kind of really concerned because you guys are not seeing what I'm seeing right now with Mr. Poole and everything. So I would really ask that you guys, before you make a decision, really think long and hard about what would be the best benefit for everybody. And then we need to try to find him a place to go immediately that can probably accommodate the animals, because I don't think this is going to be a good outlook for him. I agree. All right. Thank you so much. That's all I needed to say.
Frank, before we go, I apologize because I did not catch your last name.
Laws, Laws.
Laws. Okay. Thank you so much. You indicated that Harbor House is a 10-day facility, correct?
Mm-hmm.
How long has Mr. Poole been there already?
He's been here. Tomorrow will be 30 days.
Oh, okay. So there is apparently some wiggle room to extend.
Right. There is some wiggle room based upon well, the way that I do it when we do our concurrence, if the individual is getting stable, staying the same, or do they need to go back to the hospital. And so we try to find them a place to go within 10 days. And this situation has kind of been a little bit complex. For the first 2 or 3 weeks, we had no contact with his sister, and then she finally did come around, and we were kind of hoping that she would let him return back home, but apparently that's not. Is that true, Robert? Is that accurate? Yeah. So she rescinded. Yeah, so she did rescind the fact that she would help, and now she's not going to help. So there was some time lapse around there waiting on her sister and everything. But now, just given this information, I think we need to probably expedite or try to find him some place to go quickly that can accommodate the dogs, because I don't really think this is going to be to his benefit.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions for me?
That's real quick, sir. Hi, Corporal. How are you?
I'm doing well.
Good. Our goal is always to try to find the best possible situation or outcome from it. Being that you're one of the heads of Harbor House, is it possible to find a place for him that can house 4 dogs this quickly? Because if the dogs go to foster, obviously we have to concern ourselves with foster. Animal control would like him to go back to Mr. Poole, obviously, versus going to foster. So he would need a place where he could house them. Is that something that
I was on the impression it was 2 dogs. Is it not 2 or is it 4?
It's 4.
What is it? What is it, Robert?
I was getting 4 back from them. My plan was to give 2 of them to Barks, because I know I can't. If I leave them there.
So basically, is it going to be 2 dogs or 4, Robert? It will be 4?
Yeah.
2. Okay.
Because I know the 2 that I would give away would be a lot less aggressive.
Okay. So to answer your question, I don't know how quickly, because this is kind of like a complex situation. We've never had an individual that have had animals. Typically, we just find the patients that we have or the clients that we have, their housing within 10 days, sometimes a little longer. But I'm not really familiar. The summer is more familiar with, animals and stuff like that. But we're going to do the best that we can. Hold on one second. What about the place that was, there was a place in Crofton? Okay, I was trying to get back from that. Okay. So there were some attempts to find him a place that can house the 2 animals that he has. So I know that you guys have to make a decision, but like I said before, I'll just reiterate, if we can just really take in consideration that he is in a mental health facility, and I think this will probably just send him right back to the hospital. And the reason why we come up with crisis bed like that is to keep the individual out of the hospital. So I know it's a complex situation, so I'm just asking if anybody can just kind of hold off a little bit to see what we can come up with, if that's even possible.
Okay, I would just state right now that it is not this commission's intent to see any animals put down at all. That we will do everything possible to keep that from happening. So if that's any comfort, I just wanted to say that I know the heart and soul of this commission. and that is not, that is the last thing that we want to do, and it would only be for extreme situations. But we will take that in consideration when we deliberate. And I appreciate the information, Mr. Laws, I really do.
Thank you.
Are there any more questions for this witness, please?
But I've got a question for Robin or the Office of Law when we're done with Mr. Laws, please.
And I have another question kind of for Mr. Poole as well. So
Okay, hold on.
Okay.
While we're walking, it looks like, to Mr. Poole, I just want to be clear that Animal Care and Control, of course, would do our very best to evaluate all of these animals. It's just based on the information that we have thus far. And, you know, even Mr. Poole has said that the animals are aggressive. And we would certainly hope to be able to find out from Mr. Poole which 2 dogs it is that he was planning or hoping to be able to get back. And he had mentioned turning the other 2 into barks. I'm wondering if he's had contact with anyone there. In our experience, they're not able to place animals with aggression either.
Yeah, I guess it kind of dovetails into my question, Robin. Where does, or you or the Office of Law would know, where does the liability fall? If animal control takes protective custody and then you foster them out and there is a adverse event occurring, where does that liability fall? Does that come back on you and the county? Should these dogs injure a human being in foster?
And I'll let Elena take that. But my understanding is, I mean, yeah, if we know an animal is aggressive and we can place it in a situation, I can't see how we couldn't be held liable for that.
Okay. Thank you.
But I can't imagine that the foster, there isn't some assumption of risk with the fosters. I'm sure there is paperwork that is signed ahead of time, because anytime an animal is fostered, there's always a risk. So
there's a difference when there's known aggression versus an animal that seems fine. The concern would be gross negligence. Is it gross negligence that the county is taking animals with known aggression that our team could only handle safely on a catch pole into a situation where they would have interaction with people or other animals?
sorry.
Anyone else?
I saw Elena unmuted. I didn't know if she was going to comment before I had a question for Mr. Poole.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to mention was, so I know Animal Care and Control has, as was mentioned, some kind of evaluation of the dogs. So I think ultimately it depends on Animal Care and Control doing each evaluation for each dog and seeing what the outcome is. I mean, if they deem the dog fit to be fostered or to be adoptable, that's based off of the test and evaluation they do. If they don't, then they don't. You know, I think relying on that test and being fair and reasonable with that test is the ultimate decision at that point.
Okay. I want to make sure that everybody feels complete with the information that has been put forth today.
I do have, I want to ask Mr. Poole one more, I kind of want to take it a step farther. Mr. Poole, I've heard your testimony, in your testimony, you said you initially had some trouble, even getting enough food to the animals. Obviously moving forward, getting you into a stable situation is paramount. Being able to get the dogs in there, in my mind, would be a secondary thing, although for your mental health, potentially very big. But, moving forward, how will you provide for these animals if you are able to get into a situation where these animals can be there? Do you have a job? Have you had a job? Do you have any sort of way to provide for these animals once we would get it, if we were to get you into a situation where you could take care of these animals? How can you, some of the conditions we saw were not ideal at all. And I understand the situation and why, but moving forward, given another chance, how could you, realistically provide for these animals?
So the program I'm currently in, I am not able to really seek appliance for a job because of the restrictions that are applied. So as soon as I'm able, I would bust my ass, give everything to the dogs. I would put them first in any sort of way. They would get everything they needed before I did.
Okay. I think that, and before we would even close for deliberations, I think a few things, in this case, it is a difficult, and there are a lot of things to consider, but I think we all can agree that the animals cannot be returned back to the environment in which they were removed from. That is one thing I think the commission, all of us, even those that are testifying today on behalf of Mr. Poole, can agree to. And I think also from what we're hearing, the situation with the sister probably would not be beneficial either, because even if she agreed at one point to allow me to return, sometime later, that could be, changed. The mind could be changed. So this is what we need to consider. Everything that we've taken in, consider in our deliberations. So unless there are any more questions of any witnesses today, Officer Bowen, Mr. Poole, or the other witnesses there with Mr. Poole, I think we should close for deliberation.
I guess it would be for Officer Bowen. How are they being kept with an animal?
So they're being kept in our standard kennels, just like every other dog here. But again, due to their aggression, they cannot be handled unless they're on a 6-foot catch pole. So unfortunately, they're not getting the same interaction that other dogs do because they are so severely aggressive.
Are they 1-to-1 cage, or?
It's a
Are there
double-sided cage. I don't think they're next to each other, but they can see other dogs through the tops of the cages.
Okay. So I believe I mentioned during Mr. Tony's, I guess, testimony, I don't know what it's called, that I wish to keep 2. The reason is I understand I can't take care of all 4, but I know that Titan and Harley, their individual personalities are not aggressive. They can be quelled back very easily. Zoe and Willow, I believe, can't. Zoe I feel like she's always going to have a bit of anxiety toward pretty much everything. And Willow pretty much takes after her very heavily. They're bonded. So that would be the reason for the keeping 2, not all 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to surrender them to you beforehand of all this because I had a feeling that you would just euthanize them.
Robin?
Sorry, I'm just looking at their paperwork because I have it physically in front of me, and I have one labeled Titan and I have one labeled Zoe, but we have different names for the other 2, and I want to make sure that we're using the same names for the same dogs so that we're all talking about the same dogs.
2 of them, Robin, are named Hilda and Zelda.
Right. Do you know which one is which?
I don't know. We didn't have anyone on scene to identify the dogs. Only 2 of them had tags on their collars.
Harley's the one with the most meat on her bones, the biggest one.
So that would be the one we have it labeled as Zelda. Okay, that's Harley.
Willow has the white stripe on her nose, up her face.
And just to be clear from your testimony, Mr. Poole, which 2 is it then that you would want back? You think that?
Let's say Zoe and Willow.
I'm sorry.
Thank you for the clarification.
Mr. Poole, I thought you just said Titan and Harley were the ones that were less aggressive and most likely to be rehabilitated, the ones you could keep, correct?
I would say they were most likely rehabilitated because they would be able to be adopted rather than euthanized. So the other 2 I love dearly. Well, I love all 4 of them dearly, but the other 2 I feel like would be euthanized, and therefore I could take care of them.
Okay.
Because they're perfectly fine with me. Other people they have an issue with.
That's the way I understood it too. Yeah.
Yeah, I misunderstood that. Sorry. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so to be clear, and I'll be redundant, you're okay surrendering Titan and Harley because they have the best chance of rehabilitation, but you're going to take the dog known as Zoe and Willow because those are the ones you fear won't be able to be rehabilitated. Is that a correct understanding?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Have any of the dogs ever bitten you?
No.
Thank you.
not without it being a play session.
How about anyone else?
Not to my
Not that
knowledge,
we're
no.
aware of.
Okay. Okay, again, this is a lot to take in, a lot to consider, a lot of emotion. If there are no further questions, it would be time to deliberate here with everything that we've taken in. Matthew?
Yeah, I just have one question for either Officer Bowen or Mr. Poole. Do they show aggression towards other animals or just people? Any of the dogs, that is.
I have not seen them around other animals, so I could not testify to that.
Robin, is there any record there of the dog's activities once they're at the at animal control concerning their behavior around other animals?
So as Elena had mentioned, we do what we call observations here of animals, but we do those when they're animals that we're evaluating whether or not we believe they are placeable with either rescue or adoption. As these dogs are Mr. Poole's, they have not been we haven't had the opportunity to do that at this time. We've been working on trying to get those that we can out. As Jacqueline said, we've been using catch pools and other safety equipment, but we have not had the opportunity to do that at this point because at this point they're Mr. Poole's and we've just been holding them, trying to keep them safe and properly care for them to the best of our ability.
Okay, so there could be, there is no information to coincide with Mr. Poole's testimony about the two dogs that would be most likely adoptable.
Previous to them being 4, there were 2 others with them. A boxer named Raven and a pit bull American Bulldog mix named Raspberry, as well as many cats within the house. They did not bother them at all.
Okay, thank you.
Before you all go into deliberation, I want to make sure I have the most up-to-date information. So I've done a page for one of the kennel staffs. If you all wouldn't mind maybe taking a brief 5-minute recess or something.
Okay, I think that would be great right now so that we can absorb some of this testimony before deliberation. Let's take about 5-minute break here and return. I don't have a clock in front of me, but let's return in roughly 5 minutes. And then no further questions. We'll go into deliberation.
Okay, so I did talk to the kennel crew. They do agree that Zoe is absolutely the most aggressive. She is the one that came in thin. She came in at 47.8 pounds on the 8th of June. By the 17th, she was up to 54.4. So she'd gained about 6 pounds in 1 week. They're going to try to get me an updated weight on her now because they say she's put on significantly more than that since then. So 6 pounds in a week. They do agree that Hilda also, those two are the most aggressive. Hilda, aka Willow, sorry, Mr. Poole. They think that there is a possibility that Hilda will be okay on stuff. They're not sure how she'll do with other dogs. Apparently, they were trying to help each of them in coming around and being more comfortable so that we could increase handling and enrichment. And one of the things that they tried to do was bring the other dogs to them to see if that got a encouraging reaction or not. And apparently with Zelda and I believe it was Hilda and same with Zelda and Zoe. Zelda is our Harley, Mr. Poole. That did not go so well. Titan, they are still they're just unsure how things would go when we get to the observations. They say he's better outside of the kennel than inside the kennel. But again, our interactions have been unfortunately less than they have been with other animals due to the concerns of safety. But the kennel crew has been working diligently to try to help them feel more comfortable here and to increase their enrichment as much as possible.
Thank you, Robin.
Welcome.
If there is nothing further from anyone, like I said before the break, this is a lot to absorb. So I want everybody to feel comfortable before we deliberate. Having that said, I do believe it's time for our deliberation. I don't think there's any other facts that need to be addressed right now. We have a full picture and we have a lot to discuss. So hearing that, let us proceed into our deliberation. Okay. Let's start. I think it would be most appropriate to start with Mr. Hammer. Mr. Hammer?
We can't hear you, Dr. Hammer.
There goes. Is that better? Hello? Good.
Yeah, you're on.
Good. I'm still digesting a lot of this. It's a fairly dynamic situation, and that's the conundrum I think that we're all going to be looking at today. I certainly have concerns with these dogs getting fostered out. And I certainly have got some concerns, as Tom pointed out, if we decide to return the dogs to Mr. Poole, what mechanisms does he have in place to care for the dogs? And right now he doesn't seem to have that situation. So I'm just stymied at this juncture. I don't have any strong feelings one way or the other. And that's all I have to say at this point. This is a tough one.
Yes, it is.
Before we get to like how this plays out, can we just get the initial finding out of the way? Because this is a two-part thing, correct? It's protective custody. So first we have to determine that the seizure was warranted.
Right.
I think we all agree to that, but I feel better putting it on the record. And then we can discuss whether or not they should be returned or what happens after that.
Okay, Jennifer.
All right. Well, good point. I think we're all in agreement they should have been taken into protective custody. I think the dilemma we're all going to be stuck with is the return, and particularly with the last several comments from Mr. Poole, which 1, 2, or 3, or 4 are we going to return?
Okay. Let's I agree with Jennifer. Let's get the appropriateness of the actions of animal control officer out of the way. Do I hear a motion addressing that concern, that whether or not the seizure of the animals was appropriate or not?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the seizure of the animals as warranted.
Second.
I'll second.
Second. All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you. Now on to the more difficult question of the petition to return. We've heard testimony from Mr. Poole that he realizes that at this particular time, he cannot care for them properly. We've heard testimony from the Mr. Laws, I believe it was, that he is in treatment, and we're getting, he's being given treatment to try to get him back on his feet. And definitely, he is in a bad place, bad situation right now. We heard testimony that 2 of the dogs are possible to be fostered out because they have different personalities, and the other 2 he would like to see returned to him because he's the only one that can control them according to his testimony. The other, and it is hard, and like I'm saying, I'm not deliberating myself here. I'm just thinking it's hard because our main purpose as a commission is for the benefit of the animals, but we also have the owner's well-being wrapped around this, and it's making it very difficult, a very difficult situation. We all understand the love that we have for animals. The last thing ever that we would want to see occur here, and I think we need to go all out to keep any euthanization from happening. That just sickens me, and I don't think it would be good for anybody. So if anyone in our deliberations has any ideas of how to come up with some ideas that would keep that from happening. I was tossing around my head maybe a foster place, even for all four if possible, where he could maybe go visit with the dogs occasionally. That would help him in his recovery. But again, his recovery isn't what's at issue here. But I do like to take that into consideration. So with that, Dr. Hammer, do you still feel that you have deliberated to the point where you were good with everything, or do you have some more?
I'm good with everything, and I think fundamentally everybody's on the same page. We want to do what's best for the dogs, and we certainly want to do what's best for Mr. Poole, given his situation. And as I'm wrestling through this in my mind, I think what we're really running into here is a timing issue more than anything else. I can't discount at any level what Robin has said about animal control or care and control's responsibility to the animals in terms of being able to provide for them the way they need to be cared for any period of time, given their current situation and the fact that they're still property of Mr. Poole's. And the conundrum is, I don't know when Mr. Poole's going to be in a position to take the animals back and care for them as he wants. And so that's the timing issue that we're running into. If we knew that Mr. Poole was going to be okay within the next 30 days and be in a position to take the dog back, I would just advise him to game the system and, whatever we decide, go for a board of appeals. And by the time he hits the board of appeals, he'll be in a position to get the dogs back and it's said and done. But I don't know that we can make that assessment. And I agree with Robin. I don't think it's fair for the dogs for them to be kept and warehoused in a situation where they're not getting any kind of enrichment or human interaction or minimal human interaction. So that's where I'm stuck.
Fair enough.
Can I ask a question though? Because maybe I didn't get, or maybe I'm confused. I thought Robin said that because there was an owner waiting in the wings, that they had not conducted all of the assessments that they would have. I mean, they have some pieces, but they don't have all the information yet. And so if that's the case, it kind of seems a little remiss to me at this point to make a decision without more information.
Let me ask this question, because this may confuse that even more. We are here today to say that Mr. Poole gets the dogs back. So if the dogs were to be fostered, would animal control then have to give the animals back to Mr. Poole, who would then foster them? Or since they are his dogs for that reason, they're saying they're his dogs, or does animal control make the transfer directly to a foster and just basically take ownership of the animal at that point?
I would think that animal control would take over, because we just decided that the taking into protective custody was legitimate. So now the responsibility falls on the animal control, is my understanding.
So what I'm saying is, if we were to say that, given certain stipulations, he could have the animals back. Like, let's say he had a place, within 10 days or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here, but in a certain amount of time, he had a place and the animals could go back to him, and they're his animals, and that's that. I mean, if we were to say that, I'm just wondering. I mean, because if his intention is to just foster them after the fact, it's kind of different. I mean, I don't know. It plays a little differently in my mind.
Well, it draws me a question that I see on the docket that the dogs are not registered. There's no tags. And I guess the question, maybe a remaining question, is when they were taken in by animal care and control, they were given care. Maybe they were, I don't know, but I would imagine that they were maybe updated with their shots or something. I don't know with veterinary care that they've had, but whatever care that they have, I believe that animal care and control, if I'm not wrong, even if they were returned, it would be a fee. And whether or not he would be able to even pay the fee there as well, on a return. So I don't know. We need to consider a lot of things here. Matthew, do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I think this kind of all hinges on the availability of a foster, whether there's a foster available and whether they're willing to take the animals. So I feel like the first step would be like animal control will house the animals for a certain amount of time I don't know, until a foster could be found, because that's like everything depends on the animals getting out of animal control, and then being at the foster until he can find adequate housing.
Okay, and I have a question. It'd probably go to Alana. Do we have the ability as a commission to make a decision here to put this on hold and revisit it at a later date? Or do we have to make just a solid decision here? Could a decision be like, give this 30 days, 60 days, what have you, and then revisit it?
What would be the reasoning behind that? What are you just trying to get them? I'm not disagreeing, and I don't mean any disrespect. I'm just trying to understand the thought process.
I was thinking of number one, the evaluation of the animals themselves as they progress, and the situation with Mr. Poole himself, whether he has recovered enough, whether he has been able to obtain assistance for housing that could house 1, 2 of the dogs return. That's my thought process here, is to make a decision today may not be. It's hard on us to make, because right now the situation for neither Mr. Poole nor the animals is really good right now, and I think there's a lot of things that are pending. As Robin said, some of the dogs that are in custody have not even been fully evaluated yet. So I'm just wondering if a decision could say, well, we will research the possibility of placing the 2 most aggressive dogs, and I know non-aggressive dogs, in foster care while Mr. Poole is getting treatment and searching for appropriate housing. So I'm just wondering if that is a possibility to make a decision here today to give the entire situation time to improve and revisit it at a later date.
I like where you're going with that, because that basically fixes the problem, because what we're running into here is a timing issue. And that's really what it boils down to.
Couldn't we just recommend a specific, like after a certain amount of time, if this, if Mr. Poole is not in a settled situation, that the animals would then, just not be returned?
My concern with that would be if we make that the recommendation today and the chief of police decides not to adhere to that, then we've had this discussion in vain. But I don't see why, unless the Office of Law tells us different, we could not agree to postpone this for another 30 days. I mean, had Mr. Poole requested a postponement, we could have granted it to him. I think it would be most prudent for us as commissioners to say we don't have enough information as we're sitting here today, and we'd like to postpone it for 30 days in order to gather that information, because I feel like any decision we render at this point is just a guess, because we just don't know. I'd be reluctant to issue a decision, like I said, knowing that that the chief of police could easily undo that. And if our goal is to get a little more time to assess both Mr. Poole's mental health situation as well as his living arrangements and assess the dogs, the most effective way to do that would be to postpone this case till the next session.
I would thank you, Jennifer. That
I think that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's good. And I would even go to postpone it until our September session. That would be my recommendation.
Let's not lose sight of what Robin pointed out, and I agree with everybody. A decision today is lose for everybody involved. It's bad for the dogs. It's bad for Mr. Poole. But postponing this for another 2 or 3 months may not be in the best interest of the dog. We do need to keep that in mind in terms of their living conditions and their development and their well-being more than anything else. I think that's Robin's main concern, is that given the dogs in the condition that they're in right now behaviorally, animal control is taxed in being able to provide the best living environment for these dogs and their well-being. So I think we need to add time to the mixture here. What I don't know is what's the right amount of time. Is it August, September, October? I just don't know.
And
I'd be reluctant to put it too far out. I was comfortable with a 30-day postponement, just because as a practical matter, regardless of the decision, Mr. Poole, like you said earlier, Dr. Hammer, could have gamed the system and filed his appeal to the Board of Appeals, and that could drag on forever. So, I mean, but I would be reluctant to push this too far.
Well, it would also give animal care and control some time to evaluate the dogs. So.
Right. Well, at least 30 days, but I don't know that I want to go beyond.
That's what I mean. I agree with that. I agree with 30 days. I mean, to that point, I think just with the amount of care that they have to give the dogs and just to their own well-being, I agree 30 days.
And actually, it will be less than 30 days because we're a week late on this session because we should have met last Monday, but it was a holiday. So we're really only talking about 3 weeks. Okay, and Robin's saying he would still have 30 days to appeal.
Yeah, there's still the appeal process that would come at the end of that period.
I mean,
well, that's why we shouldn't push it back until September, I believe.
Yeah, you're right. Exactly. And during the postponement period, could there still be efforts to foster? I believe testimony was that he already realizes that even if they're returned, he can't take care of 4 dogs. That's out the window.
Well, but the dogs remain in protective custody during the postponement, so I don't know that they could foster.
But if he released the 2 of them, turned them over to them, then they could go through the process of fostering. Correct? Is that how I understood it?
Yeah, that's what I'm suggesting is, that the ultimate end is that, from what I heard in testimony from Mr. Poole himself, is that he is of sound mind enough to realize that best case scenario, he's not going to be able to take care of all 4 dogs. Should we say, yeah, you can have all 4 back? That at most that he could only take care of the 2, and he named the 2 that he would like to have the most aggressive ones here for their benefit. He would like to see those returned. So my question would be, can we, during this on hold period, since he's already acquiesced that, continue to make efforts to foster out the 2 that he has already realized that they are the least aggressive and probably the most adoptable or fosterable, if that is a word. Should we consider that in our proposal?
Can't we postpone for 30 days with a stipulation that ongoing fostering efforts continue, and that if the dogs do get fostered out, it would be obligatory for Mr. Poole to sign them over to animal control so they can be fostered out? I mean, thoughts on that motion? I mean, that's probably how I'd couch it in terms of a motion.
It won't be 30 days because we are a week late.
Okay, we're a week late. So we're talking what, 21 days?
Yeah, it would just be till the next session in August. Because if we say 30 days, we're going to be out of compliance
in between sessions.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
All right.
Until our next session. Yeah.
Well, I'm okay putting that in a motion that we postpone this for 21 days to be revisited at the
August 1st.
August 1st, and that
our next meeting.
Yeah, our next meeting, and that ongoing efforts to foster Titan and Harley continue, and that if a foster is found, that Mr. Poole sign them over to animal control to be released.
Okay, did everybody get that?
I did, and Robin had put in the chat that she asked if we could address the 2 separate pairs. So I believe Dr. Hammer's motion covers that.
Right. Can you state that again for the record, Dr. Hammer?
Yes, I would like to make a motion that the commission postpone a decision on the disposition of Mr. Poole's animals for 21 days with the stipulation that fostering efforts continue for the dog named Harley and Titan, and if they do get an acceptable foster, that Mr. Poole would be obligated to sign them over to animal control and be fostered out.
I'll second.
Robin just put in the chat.
Yeah, let's hold up on that just a second.
How do I
agree with her that if he wants to do this the correct way, he should surrender the 2 that he thinks are fosterable, which are Titan and Harley. That way, if they're able to be fostered, they can be adopted and go from there. And then he can concentrate on Zoe and Willow, the ones he said he knows are not able to be. That makes more sense to me. He said he was willing to do that. That's my thought on that he should surrender them so that they can go through the process and hopefully get a family, and then he can worry about the other 2, because Mr. Wallace even told us his eyes, got big, and he said, wait, you got 4 dogs? First he told me 2. So that's going to be really, really hard in that situation for him to find a place to live that can house that many animals.
Okay, and that's, I would like to add that if should he does so, should he do so, that the euthanization is taken off the table.
Just add that to the stipulation. I mean,
Yes.
the motion. Yeah.
Yeah, that once he agrees, surrender him, that euthanization is off the table. It is not a possibility.
I mean, if they can't foster them out, then what? I mean, eventually it becomes a possibility.
Well, just put a time limit on it. They can't
Yeah.
euthanize the dogs till we reconvene in 21 days.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I get you. I
Yeah,
thought you were talking about in
that's-
perpetuity. I'm thinking, okay, that's not gonna work.
Yeah, no, that was the scope of yeah.
There we go.
When it comes back, just like Robin said, when it comes back to us, then we make the determination that. But during this time frame, that euthanization is taken off the table. Not a possibility during this time frame.
Okay.
Phil, did you get all that in the pieces that we?
Yeah, I think I did. Okay, I'd like to take back that motion I just put forward, and I'd like to resubmit another motion that Animal Control Commission postpone a disposition for Mr. Poole's pets until August 1st, and that in the interim, Mr. Poole sign over all 4 pets to Animal Control for fostering, and during the stipulation period, the dogs will not be euthanized. Period.
Can I make a correct? Because in reading Robin's comments, I don't think we can do it that way. I think we have to split the determination on the animals. So I think the motion would be that the 2 aggressive ones, that's Zoe and Willow, am I right? Zoe and Willow are the 2 aggressive ones.
Correct.
That the disposition of those 2 be postponed till our next session, but that Titan and Harley be surrendered to Animal Control now so that they can continue efforts to foster them, with the understanding that they would not be euthanized without coming back before the commission. Robin, does that cover everything you would need? Okay.
Yes.
And that's
Okay.
the motion I would.
Okay, so we'll try for a third time. I put a motion that Animal Control postpone the disposition on Mr. Poole's case until the August 1st hearing, and that we have Mr. Poole sign over Harley and Titan to Animal Control for fostering purposes, and that no euthanasia will be performed on any of the dogs until the commission reconvenes August 1st.
I think we've got it. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. All in favor? Raise your hand. Okay. I believe that's unanimous. Jennifer, did you raise your hand?
I did. Sorry, I was late, but I did.
Okay. Okay. Unanimous. And thank you. Philip, you got that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. Thank you all commissioners on that, and Robin. Okay. Does anybody need a breather after that? Or can we proceed to the next case? Anybody raise your hand, say you need a breather? Or
I'm good to go.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Hall, we can proceed to the next case. Okay, I believe that we should just refresh.
I'm sorry, before we begin, do we have someone from the Office of Law here? Do we need someone from the Office of Law here? I guess is my question. Oh, there we go. Never mind.
Yeah, looks like he's coming in now.
All right, thanks.
Okay, I believe that just for refresher, this is, we heard the case, we postponed last month, and Officer Bowen, if you just want to restate the issues at hand.
Yes. So just a refresher from last month, on June 8th of this year, I went to regards to assisting county police with removing 4 dogs due to the owner, Mr. Poole, having been taken for an eval. According to Police in Crisis on scene, the owner had been living in a small barn on the property since December of 2021. The dogs had been living in the barn with him. I personally witnessed negligible living conditions both inside of the barn and in the outdoor enclosed runs which were attached to the barn. The outdoor runs were muddy and had trash and debris everywhere, and it also reeked of fecal matter. I did not witness any water for any of the dogs inside the runs or within the barn. The inside of the barn where Mr. Poole had been living was also full of trash and smelled even worse of feces and urine. And I did note lots of empty cans of cat food and a mostly empty bag of dog food next to a large bag of cat food, but at least 3 of the dogs at that time did appear to be underweight. And due to the aggression of all the dogs, I had to use a catch pole to safely remove them. Since our last hearing, Mr. Poole did sign over 2 of the dogs. One has since been adopted, and the other we are trying to find a home for.
Officer Bowen, which 2 dogs were signed over?
Titan and Zelda. And Zelda is the one that has been adopted.
Zelda. Is that the one we called Zoe last time?
No, Zoe is a different one.
Okay, so last time we had Zoe, Titan, Willow, and Harley.
So I think Willow and Harley are the names Mr. Poole had given them. We didn't know those names, so on our records, I think Willow is Zelda on our records. Robin should be able to confirm.
Can I speak? Or no?
I might have the names confused, but definitely Titan, and I believe it was Zelda that he signed over.
No, that would have been Titan and Harley.
Okay. Like I said, our names are different on our records, but the female is the one that has been adopted.
Well, I'm scared you signed over the wrong dog.
Yeah,
No,
I'd like
sir.
to get clarification on the dogs.
Yeah, let's take a minute and clarify this issue, please. We need to know the 2 dogs that would be at issue today. And I know there was some different names. Let's take a look at the documentation.
Is
Okay,
Roger?
the document that's in the file has the names Titan and Harley.
So
as the animal.
I have the paperwork of the dogs that we do have, which are Zoe and Hilda. Those are the 2 most aggressive ones, and that's what we discussed in the last hearing with Mr. Poole, that it would be in his best interest to sign over the least aggressive ones.
Correct.
Our name for the female was Zelda, and she has since been adopted. Titan is still here, still looking for a home.
Okay, so I just want to make sure, because my notes from last hearing all reflect the original names I was given. So Harley, what's that dog's name now?
Harley should be the one that we have named as Zelda, because that's the one he signed over, and Titan has always been Titan.
Could you please give a description of dogs that would be named
So
Zelda?
I have the paperwork of Hilda, which is Willow. That one is, I mean, they both, Zoe and Willow look almost the exact same. But you signed over.
That's not them. Willow has a white stripe up her face.
Mr. Poole, just take a second and let us get this straightened out here.
I apologize, but the only difference between them at the current moment is how they look. Because I don't trust the description of them being less aggressive or more aggressive and them using different names.
I think the situation is a name change. Let's try to get that straightened out before we proceed.
Doesn't, I mean, animal control usually photographs the dogs, correct?
I'm working on pulling up the photos to share.
Okay, that would be great. Yeah, because I'm really confused as to which dogs.
Yes, we seem to have more names than we have dogs. We have 4 dogs, and we have a few, maybe 5 or 6 names here. So let's try to get that straightened out and before we proceed.
If it helps, I have the original message from Mr. Poole clarifying which dog is which. I'm posting it in the chat for everyone now.
Okay, can everybody see the dog that we have listed as Zelda?
Yes, so you might want to just grab the bottom right of that screen and then drag it out a little bit.
Right. Okay, Mr. Poole?
Yeah.
That's the dog we had listed as Zelda. That's the dog that's been adopted.
Okay, that is Harley. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Next, I'm going to go over, I'm going to show you Titan. This is Titan.
Yeah.
Okay, he's currently available for adoption.
Okay, good.
Okay, so the other 2 dogs that we have them, I don't know if we have pictures of them even in the system. Yeah, no, we don't have pictures of them in the system because they have not been adoptable, but they're your other 2 dogs.
Okay.
Okay, but their names are not Zoe and Willow now?
Correct. Their names are not.
Zoe is Zoe. Willow is Hilda.
Yeah.
Okay. Officer Bowen, now that we're straight on that issue, please continue.
That was all that I had. I think that, like I said, there was just some confusion with the names because when I brought them in, Zoe and Titan had name tags. The other 2 did not, so that's why we named them. But that was my update and my refresher.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Poole, I believe the issue before us today would then be the return of the remaining 2 dogs. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Please proceed.
I don't really know what he's trying to say here because I said it all last time. I don't know what.
Okay. I guess an issue that would be very important for us as a commission would be what progress have you made to attain a home or a rental place or any place where you could adequately house yourself and the 2 dogs should we decide to return them. The commission is mainly responsible for the condition of the animals here, so we would need to hear some testimony, hopefully from you, and maybe some concurring testimony that there has been some advancement made toward housing or a dwelling somewhere that can adequately take care of yourself and the two animals you're seeking to return.
Okay. Well, I'm currently at Lighthouse, a homeless shelter in Annapolis, and since I got here, I've been looking for employment as well as housing. I've been to a couple interviews. I have a work interview at one place sometime this week, and SPCA is offering me a job right now, which we're working out the small details right now. But I've pretty much gotten a job, and I've applied for housing a few places, and later today I'm going to get my learner's permit, and I'd done everything in between, like the driving classes and drive hours and all that. So as soon as I get that, I can go for a driving test to get my full license, and then I can get a car and pretty much be set.
Well, that's some positive news. Do you have like a counselor or anyone there that could update us on your status?
Yes. I don't know if he's in right now.
Okay.
If you're willing to wait, I could go try and see if he's here.
I think that might probably be a little of great importance. How long would that take, roughly? We could take a 10-minute break. I don't think we want to take any longer than that, though.
That should probably be good.
Okay. Let's take a 10-minute break. I believe that Mr. Poole's condition, his prognosis, if it were, would probably be important to us today. So with that, let's take about a 10-minute break and allow Mr. Poole to get his counselor or his attending physician, whatever the title might be. We'll learn that later. So let's just take a 10-minute break and allow Mr. Poole to obtain that individual. Thank you. Mr. Poole's back. And we're waiting on Greg and John. There we are. Okay. Okay, we're ready to proceed again. I just want to remind the witnesses that have testified, you're still under oath. And Mr. Poole, give us an update, please.
Unfortunately, he's not here at the moment, and I don't know when he's gonna come in.
Okay, tell us again. Tell us again your current condition and prospects that you may have, and a time frame.
Well, I've been applying to as many jobs as possible that I know I can do. 3 have gotten back to me with interviews, and currently SPCA is offering me a job. They're ready to hire me. And I have been looking at apartments to where I can take the dogs and live, as well as I have acquired the emotional support animal papers that would drastically help my availability of places to go. And
Mr. Poole, I'm sorry, back up. You said you have emotional support animal papers. What exactly does that mean? Is that a certificate from a doctor saying that
they're letters describing that these animals are necessary for me to go about daily life. Or
letters from whom?
My psychologist.
Okay.
Therapist.
Anyway, we can get a copy of that?
Yeah, I apologize.
Do you have a copy of that available for today's hearing?
Yes, I just don't know how to put it in the chat or anything like that.
Do you have it right there with you? Or do you think you could hold it up to the?
My advocate is here.
Okay. Okay, great. Phil, you want to swear him in?
Nothing but praise, sir.
Absolutely.
Thank you kindly.
Yep.
Okay, hold on a second. I think we lost Jennifer. What happened to Jennifer?
It would appear that she is no longer in the webinar. It takes a moment to reconnect. She may have had an internet issue.
No problem. We'll wait for Jennifer. And now we lost Greg.
He is still connected, just has his video turned off.
Okay. He's back. Okay, I'm going to give it a minute or two, and hopefully Jennifer will get reconnected. All right, sir. You can testify.
All right, so I'm just basically speaking on his behalf in terms of what specifically? His character.
His current condition. He has made a request to have 2 of his dogs returned to him. And
okay.
As a commission, we are responsible for the conditions of the dog. The reasons why they were taken into custody in the first place was their living conditions were very poor. And he has made a request for the return of 2 of the 4 dogs, and we need to know, should we decide to do that, whether they can be properly cared for or not.
Oh, well, they wouldn't be allowed into shelter. However, if he does have a secondary home for them in person until we get him permanent housing or transitional housing, once he moves into housing, he will have, sufficient space. I'll be checking in on him. Another client advocate will be checking in on him. We can always check up on the dogs, and we always make sure that each resident maintains a very specific standard of living conditions. Robert, personally, I'm still getting to know him, but so far, I know he's a kind, gentle soul, and I know he cares for his dogs, and I know the dogs care for him in that state. So if living conditions are a worrisome factor, I would say in the long run, it's not a worrisome factor because we will be pretty much by his side, making sure that he's able to maintain a decent quality of life given all of his circumstances.
How long do you think that will take to transition him into housing?
So we've got a specific 90-day program. He just started, I do believe, about 2 weeks ago. So within the next few months, we should have him housed.
Okay, so we're talking roughly 90 days or more, maybe?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Hopefully before 90 days. That's the goal.
Yeah. Okay. What, if any, could you tell us his prognosis? Mr. Poole's on record of what we have here is that he was suffering a lot back in February, I believe, of this year, and then I'm sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. Anyway, would there be adequate housing for two German Shepherd type of dogs? That would be a big question that we have before us today. I would hate to boil it down to a choice between one or the other that are remaining,
right?
If that was possible, but we're just trying to, as a commission here, try to find out all of the angles that we would have to look at and decide when we deliberate.
Right.
And it's kind of hard when you have to look into the future.
Right.
We're looking at the here and now. Here and now, I would have to ask. Here and now, it's not a possibility, correct?
Correct. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to have the dogs in shelter.
So we're looking at his prognosis of going forward within the next 90 days. How do you feel about that?
Pretty good. Basically, it's just about securing and maintaining, stable income, and then I would be on the hunt personally to find him housing that offers, space for dogs or allows dogs. We also have a rapid rehousing program that works pretty quickly. And once he secures the income stability, I'm going to toss him into that program. So he'll have a secondary advocate, and she usually is good with finding places within their price range within like a month or two at most. So then it comes down to, him, understanding, if the spot is not precisely what he wants, but it allows him the dogs, then, something he'll have to go with.
Okay. One final question that I have here before I can get my head clear on the issues. We currently have the two remaining dogs at the animal control here on Maxwell Fry Road, I believe. If it became an issue that they could no longer be housed there, is there a possibility? Have you been talking to the SPCA that is offering Mr. Poole a job, whether or not they could house him until he could get better, just in case animal control, reached their limit?
Right. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I'll put that on my list of things to follow up with and see if I can gather more information on that possibility.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is a difficult case before us,
yeah.
And we would just like to get everything straight before we make a decision today as a commission. Jennifer?
Yeah, I just wanted to, and I apologize because, like I said, I'm on my cell phone now, so I didn't get the counselor's name. But I wanted to ask him if he's ever successfully found housing for someone with two large dogs like this. I mean, is this something you've done before and had experience with, or is this a first time for you?
Yeah, personally, I've only been in this position for about 2.5 months, so I haven't had the time to get to that. I would like this to be a good success story. But there are plenty of other client advocates who have had clients with social animals or emotional support dogs. Not necessarily two large German Shepherd style dogs, but something like at least one. I've seen that happen in my time.
Okay, so this has been done before?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Philip, got your hand up?
Yes, sir. I try not to get involved too much, but I do answer a lot of questions here at the facility for service animals and emotional support animals, which are covered under the Fair Housing Act instead of the Americans with Disabilities Act. I did want to point out a specific section of that, which might be pertinent to the conversation at hand, which is the obligations of housing providers which essentially they can't deny an individual having an emotional support animal except under certain conditions, one of which being the specific assistance animal in question would pose a direct threat to the health or safety of others, despite any other reasonable accommodations that could eliminate or reduce the threat. And I know that the 2 animals that we have in custody right now are the 2 more aggressive German Shepherds. I didn't want to leave that information out.
Thank you, Mr. Hall. That was very good information to have. Thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions for this witness or Mr. Poole at all? Officer Bond, do you have anything else? Okay. I would
on for a second.
Ah, Robin. Okay.
Sorry, I was multitasking. I was reaching out to the SPCA just to try and get all the information while we're here. And I don't know if you want to take a brief recess. They did confirm for me that Mr. Poole has been offered a job with him and that he did a working interview with them. But the person I spoke with needs to check with their kennel manager to see if that was discussed at all and to see if housing them would be at all a possibility. So they're supposed to get right back to me on that. And the other thing is, it looks like I may have something else to share with you all so that you can, yeah. So we talked last time about the dog's behavior here. I was just sent a video of Zoe and how she's responding to some of the staff here, because I think it's important that you all understand the stress that the animals are under when making your final decision. So hang tight. I'm going to share screen again. I have not watched this video. It was literally just sent to me. Share. Okay, can you guys see kind of a blurry dog at this point?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, good play.
So Robin, the sound of the video actually comes when you hit share. There's a small checkbox in the bottom left for share system audio. If you're trying to get the audio to come through, you might have to end the share, start the share, and hit the tick box to include audio, and then unmute the video when you go to play it. Zoom doesn't make it.
There we go.
You guys good?
Yeah.
Robin, I have a question. It's a little hard to tell just from that video. Is that just a dog that's excited because somebody's standing in front of his kennel and he's barking, because he's happy to see somebody? Or, I mean, because I'm having a hard time seeing, like, if that...
May I?
Yes, Officer Bond.
So, yes, so I'm looking at Zoe's paperwork where it's been noted and documented since she was brought in on the 8th of June, her behavior has gone downhill. At the shelter, we really try our best to take care of these dogs, but it's not the best situation for them to be here long term. And it is very stressful for a dog that's already overwhelmed and easily fearful to have to be here for over 2 months. All of her documentation states that she can only be safely handled by 1 volunteer. None of our staff can safely handle her. I spoke with the girls in the back this morning, and it's to the point that some of them are actually scared of her. That's how aggressive she has become. So that was not her being friendly, that was her trying to hurt someone, because 1, she is fearful, and it is overwhelming for them to be here long term.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Does anybody at all have anything else before we close for deliberation? Corporal?
Real quick, what about Willow, the other one, correct? Do we have any updates on her? Good, bad, and different.
Just 1 second. I have her paperwork. So I know Willow is not quite as aggressive, but out of the 4, these 2 are the worst ones. I have all of her paperwork.
Jacqueline, if you don't mind, I'll pop in because I just have some notes handy. So Willow is the one that we have here labeled Hilda. And let's see here. A note says, exited the run with the normal overly excited attempt to push through to get to the other dogs, maintained a very firm hold on a short leash, but she continued to thrash from side to side, trying to reach the other dogs. Once outside, she calmed down and walked without issue to the barnyard. In the barnyard, she was excited and playful, paying attention to me until another dog was placed in the adjacent yard. Hilda, aka Willow, became excited and vocal, focusing entirely on the other dog. Her return through the gallery was similar to the exit, thrashing from side to side towards other dogs. So one of the things that our team members are experiencing with her is we have a dog that doesn't like other dogs in a shelter filled with other dogs. So if you can imagine the stress that places on her, we have her in the quietest room we can, but we've been doing free dogs and cats for several months now because we are so full on cages. All of our small side rooms, they're filled with animals. So we have nowhere that we can safely house either of these dogs in a quieter space to ease their mental status.
Thank you, Robbie. Real quick, just so we're clear, so she's animal aggressive, but she's okay with the volunteers that take her out and walk her and the employees there. That's understandable.
That's what her notes say, yes.
Okay. So at the end of the day, she might also be adoptable. Is that a possibility as long as it's not with other animals? Maybe.
Maybe at the end of the day, both of them could be public safety risks, especially Zoe because she is more quote unquote human aggressive.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And are we still waiting for an update from SPCA?
I believe Robin said they were going to get right back to her.
Let me look. It looks like she sent something. Okay. He did not mention his dogs to anyone there. They are planning on having him start working there. I'm just going to re-ask about the dogs.
While you're waiting for an answer from SPCA, I mean, what's the alternative we're looking at here? I mean, I'm hearing that these dogs really can't stay at animal control long enough to for Mr. Poole to get into his transitional housing and get back on his feet. So, I mean, what are we talking about? Are we talking about euthanizing them if they don't get placed? Are we talking about transferring them somewhere? What's the reality?
I believe, Jennifer, that Robin said that was a possibility before. As you know, that it's not something that we, would want to do. We're trying every angle that we possibly can to keep that from happening. However, we can't rule it out if there is no other alternative or reasonable alternative. So it's a possibility.
Yeah, right now we're waiting to see if SPCA is willing or has the capacity to house the two animals in the interim period. And then once we hear back from that, we'll be deciding about what to do from there.
Right. So while we're waiting, Robin, to get back, does anybody have any clarification questions of anyone? This would be the time to do that and get everything out in the open.
Robin would probably be a good person for this question too, but I guess Officer Bowen, has anyone actually seen Mr. Poole interact with these dogs? Other than the day he was picked up? Has he seen them at all?
That would probably be a question for Officer Bowen. Officer Bowen. Okay. Just a second, Robin.
I don't.
The question, Officer Bowen, was did you observe Mr. Poole interacting with the animals at any time?
No. So as I stated in my recap, I was called out after he was taken for his eval, so he was not on scene when I arrived.
Okay. So has anybody, to your knowledge, has anybody seen him interact with or handle these dogs?
No, ma'am. In my brief interactions with his half-sisters, they didn't give me any statement on him interacting with them, and I, again, have not seen him interact with the dogs.
Thank you.
Okay.
If I can interject,
sure.
For most of the time since they've been acquired, I've not been able to interact with them. When they were taken, I was instructed not to wait until animal control was there, and in the hospital I couldn't really leave, as well as the harbor house. They don't really do transportation, so I couldn't go and see them. And since I've been here, all I've been trying to do is get to a place where I can get them back.
So, would there be a possibility of Mr. Poole seeing his pups? So maybe one of the officers or people who work there can see if the mannerisms of the dogs changes and if their tempers come down if they see him.
And that would be a question probably for Robin. We're waiting on her to get back
No problem.
with us now. I do appreciate everything that you guys are doing for Mr. Poole, but I do want to say this, that where Mr. Poole is right now, I think the focus is on his well-being and his health.
Absolutely.
That's number one. And that leaves us with the responsibility for the animals, which we're trying to decide today. We're going all out for that right now. As you can see, Mr. Hall is on the phone, and Robin is on the phone, and we're waiting to hear back from them at this point before we deliberate, so we can see the big picture and maybe see a little of the future possibilities. Okay, we'll give Robin a little bit more time before we close for deliberation. Does anybody have anything else at all? Okay, with that,
I'm sorry, I have one more thing. Since we have the counselor sitting there now, is there any way he can help Mr. Poole, like maybe use his cell phone to scan the letter from the psychologist? Because I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I can send over any information that you need.
Mr. Poole said that he had a letter from the psychologist designating these animals as emotional support dogs, or at least describing his need for the emotional support animals. I'd certainly like to see that letter. If you could get that over to Mr. Hall, he could put it up on the screen for us.
They're in an email. I could definitely forward it to Mr. Hall.
Yes, sir. Just forward it to the same one we've been communicating with.
is that available, Phil?
Once he sends it to me, yes, sir.
I'm sorry?
Well, once he forwards it to me, yes, sir. He
Oh,
has
okay.
my email. He's about to send me the documents. Once I have them, I can share my screen and pop them up.
Okay. That would be helpful. I don't know if this would be a proper time to close for deliberation while we're waiting on this information. I don't know. Is everybody else satisfied with the information thus far to close for deliberation? I'm asking the rest of the commissioners. So you feel we should wait for the additional information from Robin and Mr. Hall before we close for deliberation, or are you ready now?
I'd certainly like to have all the information before we deliberate.
Okay.
Yeah, we should wait.
Okay, so we'll give it a few minutes. Hopefully,
I sent the documents.
Okay.
So,
Start hitting refresh here. See that? There we go.
Yes, and I have a question. How was this Mr. Poole assessed with this dog if the dog has been with animal control since June 8th? If I'm not mistaken, that letter said that the dog, Mr. Poole, was assessed with Willow on July 15th.
It does.
Mr. Poole, can you hear me?
yeah.
How was this psychologist able to assess you with Willow?
It was a psychologist that I had previous to this incident.
Okay, so there was no assessment on July 15th. Like I said, I'm sorry, I apologize because I'm working off my cell phone right now due to a bad internet connection in my house. But I thought that letter said that that you had been assessed with the dog on July 15th. Is that not correct?
That might not be correct. I don't know why it says July 15th.
Can we bring that up again, Phil?
Oh, my apologies. It should have been up. There we go.
Yep.
Well, I know July 15th was the date that he sent it, but I wasn't assessed with them on July 15th.
That's what the letter says right there, though.
Right. I mean,
it also says that the dog has been trained to be a service dog.
like I mentioned earlier, I do answer a lot of questions here at the agency for service animals and emotional support animals. They're two very separate things covered under two separate federal acts. Service animals are covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act. No one can give certification for a service animal. Agencies, businesses, private citizens are only allowed to ask two questions legally, and that is the animal required due to a disability, and what service is the animal trained to provide? The training explained has to describe an action that the animal takes in response to the disability, whereas the Fair Housing Act is essentially once you have a letter from a mental health doctor or psychiatrist, then as long as it doesn't fall under the exemptions, they cannot discriminate and deny you housing that anyone else would be allowed to have. They have to waive fees and accommodate you with changes to their policy. Even if they don't normally allow animals, they would have to, barring those exemptions.
Okay, I also am bothered by the fact that there's no signature on the document as well. So
I don't know if that bothers me so much because it was an emailed PDF. There's probably an original in the file somewhere. I guess I'm just, Philip, tell me again. Okay, so you can't question the nature of the disability, but you can question the service that the dog provides in response to.
Yes. So as an example, if an individual had a service animal for their blood sugar dropping, diabetes is a disability, and if the animal was trained to alert the individual when their blood sugar was low, either by barking, pawing at them, something of that nature, that would be an action that the animal was trained to perform in response due to the disability. That would qualify as a service animal.
Okay.
If the animal's existence is a boon to your emotional health, and not having it would cause trauma or discomfort, then that would be an emotional support animal.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, so it doesn't, in order to be an emotional support animal, it doesn't have to do anything other than be present.
Yes.
Okay, that would, all right. Gotcha. Thank you. That's very helpful.
okay. Okay. Still waiting on Robin to get back with a little bit of information from SPCA.
I just need to let you all know I'm still in communication with them trying to get an answer.
Okay. I guess that we're okay to close for deliberation at this time. Robin can interrupt us. She has that authority while we're in deliberation to give us the any additional information that we need. So at this time, hearing no further questions or any testimony, now would be the time to raise your hand if there is any further testimony or any questions of the witnesses. Corporal.
Just real quick for Officer Bowen. So we saw the video of Zoe, and I know we talked a little bit about Willow, but I don't know if it could be a professional opinion. Do you think that that dog could be adoptable later on, or no?
As far as Willow goes, I think if she was put into a household that had experience with dog reactivity, yes, because all the notes document her as being able to work with other people. I personally did have to catch all the dogs on scene. They were aggressive at that time, but since she's been here, she has been able to be handled by a couple of people. But coming again from a shelter point of view, it is hard to find those kind of homes. Not that we can't, and we would absolutely try our hardest for these dogs, but it would be a little difficult.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Also, just to clarify, Willow seems to be most likely the most adoptable of the two. She's also the one that was mentioned in the emotional support letter. Is there a letter for Zoe as well, or is it just
there is? They were just identical, but with different names on them. I can pop it up for you.
Okay, anything else? All right, hearing none, seeing none, I believe it would be proper for us to close for our deliberations at this time, keeping in mind that the witnesses can be asked additional questions, and they can answer those questions only if we call upon them while we are deliberating, and anything further may come up. So with that, let's close for deliberations at this time. Again, we have a rather difficult case in front of us here that you don't see very often. It's not a dog barking incident. It's not a common incident. So we have a lot to sift through, I believe. So let's start. Jennifer, your thoughts?
I'm not sure how I'm not sure how many thoughts I can give you until I'd certainly like to hear back from Robin and what SPCA can do. I feel like I'm really struggling here because I, without a doubt, understand that our primary focus needs to be the animals, but there's a human factor here too that I just cannot ignore, and I'm extremely concerned about the impact that our decision here today is going to have on Mr. Poole. So I think it would be helpful to me to know whether or not SPCA can assist. Having said that, though, it seems to me like we're really focusing on Willow here. I didn't see any mention from the psychologist about Zoe, and everything I'm hearing is that Zoe is too aggressive to be handled by anyone. So I'm not sure that we could comfortably return Zoe to Mr. Poole, even if he had housing. I'm just not sure that dog would be safe in the community anywhere. But Willow is Willow is my focus right now. So once
I believe there was a duplicate letter assessing Zoe as a support animal as well.
Yeah, just a letter for both.
Yeah, the same thing. Just
oh, okay. I guess for a period of time I was on my cell phone until my connection was restored.
Yeah, no, they were the same documents. They just had the different dog. Matthew, was that what you were going to observe?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there were two separate letters, and one had the Willow's name, I believe, and one had Zoe's name on it, or if I got the names correct. But there were two different documents there. Again, okay, here we got a message from Robin. Everybody see that?
Yes, I know Philip already pointed that out to us.
Yeah, and I think that is that would apply. Unfortunately,
to Zoe at least. I'm comfortable making that. I'm not so comfortable saying that about Willow, which is why I asked if anyone had actually seen Mr. Poole interact with these animals, if the demeanor changes, at least Willow's, when he's around.
Yeah, and that bothers me about both of those documents. It was not, neither one was signed, and beyond that, the dates, as you pointed out, Jennifer, was no way that they could be observed, and I do not believe that they've been trained like the document said. Robin, go ahead.
So I just got the response from the SPCA that said that they would be willing to try housing the animals there.
For the animals?
They would be willing to try housing the Zoe and Hilda, aka Willow. Try is the word they used.
Did they give you any stipulations on that? Like what was trying? Like we'll see for 2 days and then we're back to square one, or we'll see for a week, or?
I don't have that info yet.
Okay.
If it doesn't,
at 10/11, so.
If it doesn't work out at SPCA, Robin, do they return them back to y'all?
They're not the county's possession. I mean, they are currently in the county's possession, but they don't belong to the county. So
Right.
there wouldn't be a requirement for them to return to us. That would be up to the SPCA and Mr. Poole to find other viable options for them, or if they can't, to consider other options.
So would Mr. Poole be agreeing to sign the dogs over to SPCA, or would we be giving the dogs back to Mr. Poole and SPCA is just his temporary housing? I mean, who would actually have, I guess, I don't even know if there is custody of, I don't mean physical custody, I mean legal custody of the animals while they're at SPCA. Is their outcome then determined by them or Mr. Poole?
I'm asking them if they would want him to sign them over to them or not.
That would have to be, I think that would guide my decision here. I would rather them be SPCA property right now while he is getting treatment, rather than be his property because of their condition, their aggressiveness. I got to roll that around in my head as well. Is that we know that people love their animals, but I believe dragging this out may do more harm to Mr. Poole than good. With all the aggressiveness that these animals have, one toward humans and the other one toward other animals. Continuing to keep them in the county facility probably wouldn't end well either.
The SPCA is not a county facility.
Pardon me?
The SPCA is not a county facility.
Right.
It'll be a separate facility.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. To keep them in the county facility, what I'm saying is where animal control, it may not end well. We've been told that before.
Yeah, keeping them at animal control is not beneficial for anybody, for Mr. Poole, for the animals,
Right.
for animal control. I think if SPCA would be willing to try to house them, that would be very beneficial. The dogs would be able to interact with Mr. Poole again, and Mr. Poole will also take a bigger role in their decision making.
I agree, Matthew. Very good.
I agree. I just have a question, and maybe this is for Robin or Karen. So legally, what would we be doing? We would be returning the dogs to Mr. Poole's possession with the stipulation that he sign them over to SPCA, or are we turning? I don't know. I just want to figure out what we're doing. Yes, I felt that. Any help you give?
So as it was described to us originally with these petitions for return, essentially the three decisions that you'll make motions for was the impoundment justified, which we already did last time, and that's fine. The second step is, should the animals be returned into the custody of the owner? And then if not, then we're done. And if so, the third question, what stipulations for return must be met before that happens? So you could say you have to build a 6-foot privacy fence, or you would have to sign them over to the SPCA, could hypothetically be the recommendation you make, since you guys can make any recommendation that you like.
Okay. I actually like that. I mean, I guess I would feel a lot more comfortable making a decision if anyone had ever seen Mr. Poole interact with these dogs. Because I mean, if he tried to interact with them and he couldn't get them under control, well then, the whole case is a no-brainer. That makes things really easy. But if those dogs settle right down and he's able to handle them well, I'd certainly love to give them a chance. So, no, with I'm sorry, Robin, I just now saw, okay. So what Robin is saying in the chat is, SPCA would house them, but Mr. Poole would still be responsible for the costs. Obviously, feeding him any veterinary care that has lacked. So maybe we need to ask Mr. Poole if he would be able to do that. I mean, if we're signing him over, if we're telling him he has to sign him over to SPCA, then it becomes their responsibility. But if we're not, and they're just going to house them temporarily, then it is Mr. Poole's responsibility.
Would you like me to bring him up for that question?
Yes, that would be great. Thank you.
One moment.
Go ahead.
I know you've been listening to our deliberations so far.
Yes.
Okay, because we're working really hard to find a solution here that is best for you and your dogs. So if I guess we're discussing two different options, like whether or not we require that the dogs be signed over to SPCA by you, or whether or not we return them to you and you just agree to temporarily house them at SPCA until your housing comes through. And we're looking at costs here, because no matter where the dogs go from here, somebody has to feed them and maintain their veterinary care and things of that nature. So we're trying to determine what resources you might have to pay for the cost of that care.
I understand my brother is able to help me with financial assistance. Not major, but willing. As well as SPCA, the job there would provide me with discounted pet food and, I believe, pet insurance as well.
Okay. My question I have, would you be willing then to sign over the dogs right now until you can care for them to the SPCA? Our thoughts on that, excuse me, our thoughts on that is if they're going to hire you, and perhaps you can interact with them there as well. And it could kind of like be a benefit for the animals and yourself if we can work this out. So the question would be, would you be willing to sign them over to the care of SPCA in the interim period while you're getting treatment and housing?
Well, what would signing them over to the SPCA mean? Like, what would they be able to do?
They would be in their care. I would, and somebody, Robin, you would probably be able to help us out on that. Exactly what they would house them there, and then would Mr. Poole be able to take them to his new apartment, let's say, if they allow dogs from the SPCA?
These are questions the SPCA would have to answer. I understand wanting to have all the information that we can have, but they haven't even had the opportunity to speak with Mr. Poole about this. They've only been speaking with me in the short time that we've been, discussing it. And I would not be comfortable stating what they would or would not do for sure. I know that they are willing to, temporarily give housing them a try. But I'm still waiting to hear from them whether they would want the dogs surrendered to them, which Mr. Poole, if it was surrendered, in my understanding would mean they were their dogs and they could decide what was right, whether that would be returning them to you when you're in stable housing or not, or if they would want to keep them in your name and if they have some special agreement because they're temporarily housing them, for you, what would be involved. I just don't have those details. But one thing that I did put in the chat, and since Mr. Poole is back on, I do want to mention is that the other thing is that either way, Mr. Poole is going to have fees associated with their stay here for them to go to the SPCA. While we can certainly arrange for transport because Mr. Poole doesn't have a vehicle or a license, I know he's working on that. We could certainly arrange for transport for them to the SPCA, but in the county code, we have impound fees, we have board fees. These dogs have been here for 54 days, I think, so far, at $5 a day for each dog. So fees add up quickly. They didn't have any prior vaccination history, so they had to get vaccinations upon coming here. I don't believe either dog is spayed. So those things all impact those fees.
They are spayed.
They are spayed. Okay. Do you have proof of that, Mr. Poole?
Not on me, but yes, I do.
Or if you could tell us where it is, where it was done, so that we could contact where it was done, that will certainly help decrease fees.
I believe it was done at Everhart Hospital.
Everhart, okay.
Veterinary hospital.
And under your name there?
I believe it would have been under Lisa Kraus Poole. That was my mother.
So Mr. Poole, just kind of looking at all of the amounts here, adding it up, it's probably around anywhere from $600 to $800 with the fees. Is that something you'd be able to afford or talk to your brother about?
The math I concluded was around like $430.
So 54 days, I think it's $5 per dog. Is that correct, Robin? Or is it $5 for both of them?
No, $5 per dog. So just in board for 54 days, I get to $540.
Okay. Yeah.
If they're both spayed, the impound fees for each dog would be $25. So that brings us to $590. Mr. Poole, is it correct that they didn't have current rabies vaccinations upon arrival?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay, so that's 20 for each dog. So that gets me to $630. And if he can provide proof that they are spayed, the licensing would be 2 for each. So as of today, we'd be looking at $634. The SPCA said that they could take them tomorrow. So really we should add on another 10, right? So $644.
When would the money need to be get to you?
We would have to be closed out with us before we could transfer the dogs. We don't unfortunately have payment plans or anything like that.
Okay. I could probably get the money.
Okay.
Okay, so as a practical matter, what happens here? If he says he can get the money and we order this to happen, and then tomorrow comes and it's time to transfer the dogs and the fee's not paid, then what? Are we back here again?
That will be something that we would have to foresee and put in our recommendation. So once again, we'll close for further deliberation, unless anybody has any further questions of the witness. Okay. So there we have it. We have a possibility that, not a possibility, but we have the offer that the dogs will be allowed to go to SPCA. There's going to be money involved, and there are going to be some time constraints have to be considered. So, I mean, I'd like to hear other people's thoughts on this. Matthew?
I don't see any other option. It's like SPCA is our only option. It's either that or surrender the dogs, because keeping them in permanent limbo is unfair to everyone. Dogs, Mr. Poole, SPCA, I mean, animal control.
You're correct. Mr. Fuentes?
So I'm standing in for Tom. So I would say everyone else's opinion and more, opinion is more valid than mine, since I'm just stepping in. But based on what I've heard today is, if there is an opportunity to, provide the money, pay the fees, and then transfer them to the SPCA, I would definitely want to go that route better. But if we're not able to do that, and if he's not able to pay the fees, then unfortunately, I don't feel comfortable giving the dogs or postponing this longer, so if we have the time to make more, we had more time, that we could decide, but I don't know if we do have the time. So if we're able to pay the fees and transfer, that's the way I would rather go.
Okay. Corporal Wall?
Yeah, did you guys see in the chat from Current what he said? It would have to be a private agreement between them. We would, okay. So if he can get the money, I'm good with him paying it and giving the dogs over them. That's going to have to be an agreement between the two of them. It sounds like they're doing it as a kind gesture to house these dogs. So they're going to have to figure out what to do after the fact, right? And let that, or they're going to have to come back to us. Is that correct?
Well, that would be up to SPCA.
Okay. Yeah. We return them to him if he can pay the fees, and then we get them transferred to SPCA because they said they were kind enough to do that. And I think that's the only option we have is to surrender them. So.
Okay, Jennifer?
I mean, I'm obviously in agreement with letting the SPCA take a shot at this. My concern sitting here right now, though, is, $640 is a lot of money for a gentleman who's, in a homeless shelter right now. And I'm concerned with what happens when he can't pay it tomorrow, because I have a hard time saying that because if those dogs don't leave animal control, they're going to be euthanized. So we're essentially saying their life is worth $640. And if he doesn't come up with it overnight, dogs are going to be put down. And that worries me.
Well, I didn't see where it had to be overnight.
It has to be before they're released, and they're scheduled to be released.
True. So
every day he stays there, the fee just goes up.
Right. So we're looking at it. We're looking at a time frame.
24 hours. That is our time frame.
Well, that's as soon as they can take the dogs. I mean, they'll incur $10 more each day, but if he can have a week, I mean, it's $70 more, but he has a week to come up with the money. Like, it's not like they have to leave the facility tomorrow.
Okay.
SPCA can take them in 2 days, 3 days. That just gives them more time to come up with just a little bit more money.
This would be a question, I guess, for Robin or Curran. Would we as a board in our recommendation be allowed to say additional fees would be waived? Okay, here we go. You read my mind. Let's see what that says. Okay.
Well, but it's due to a contested request for postponement by the county, and we were the ones who requested last month's postponement because we felt we didn't have enough information.
Okay, let me absorb this a little bit here.
Oh, you mean the defendant did not contest it?
Waiver of shelter fees, accrued shelter fees should be waived by age.
All right, let me ask another question. Mr. Poole can't possibly be the only indigent animal owner out there. Is there some type of, public fund or church group or something? I mean, I just, this is one of those instances
no public.
You're penalized for being poor, and it's tough. I think we have a workable solution, at least to try with the SPCA, but I don't know how we guarantee that.
Yeah. Everybody's seeing what Robin is giving us?
believe me, Robin, I have thought about that, but I don't think ethically as a commission, any of us can volunteer to do that. Or I might have cut the check already myself. But I don't think we, as a commission, we can't do that. I mean, we're sitting in a quasi judicial capacity. I'd certainly love to find some, I can't believe there isn't a fund or something out there to help this gentleman.
What would be a reasonable time frame, do we all think, to allow for this exchange between the county and the SPCA? 2 days, 3 days, a week?
Friday. Does that seem reasonable? It's 4 days.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
I said Friday. I mean, I would think anybody could exhaust their means by within 4 days, right? That's Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. These 2 things. So if we give them, say, hey, you need to get this done by Friday.
That would be reasonable.
And then what happens if it's not done? Does it come back to us, or do the dogs just, they revert to?
Unfortunately, I would probably believe that the assessment of the animals would remain with the county, as it states. If we give them 4 days, we can't waive the fees, the additional fees, which would be what, $20 a day. Okay, another $80, $100. And this, right? This is correct. This is a recommendation to the chief of police. Again.
Oh, guys, this is important. What's in the chat?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because our decision doesn't become final today. It's just a recommendation to the chief of police, and I think we've lost sight of that. The number of days would start running from the day he issues the order. I mean, I'm sorry.
Correct. But I believe we've left the defendant, Mr. Poole, in this case, with an urgency to get this transfer done as quickly as possible. And it could be today, tomorrow. It could be by Friday. So, I mean, so what do you all, given that, it's a recommendation to the chief of police, but it's something that they're currently probably acting on due to our deliberation. So, I mean,
clarification.
Go ahead,
what's the
Matthew.
turnaround time for our recommendation getting to the chief and then her making her decision?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't want to go out on a limb here. Go ahead. It's sent up the chain of command today. And
keep in mind, the chief does not have to agree with us. She can, just because we're saying this is going to happen doesn't mean it's going to happen.
correct. So does she have, she has 15 days to make a decision.
And every one of those days, this gentleman incurs additional fees, correct?
Another $10.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. They can't be waived. So,
So it's another 150. So Mr. Poole could be looking at 790 total
About,
by the time,
about $800 probably.
by the time this is resolved, assuming the chief of police agrees with our decision.
like I said, I believe we've left him working on it right now.
Okay, I'm not sure we have any other option. It's so.
And he did reply in such a way that he seemed hopeful that he would be able to get it, or his brother would be able to help him out to pay the fee.
Well, I would suggest giving it the 15 days from today.
No, she has 15 days to make the decision.
She has 15
and
days.
then but it's up to us to say, Mr. Poole has, 48 hours, 72 hours, whatever. But that's tacked on to the end of that 15 days if she takes the full 15 days to render her decision.
Right.
But that is, that would be more money.
Right. But but if she makes the decision in 2 days, it might not be.
Right.
I would be inclined to not go maybe any more than 3 or 4 days, because if she made the decision today, that would give him the full 4 days. And if she waited 15, I don't know how you don't want to make it too soon, because if she does render the decision today, you don't want to make it sooner than he can get the money together, but you don't want to make it so far out that when you tack it onto that 15 days, it now becomes out of his reach.
How about wording it within 4 days from the date of the disposition of the chief of police or their representative. So in other words, if she makes the decision tomorrow, he's got 4 days to comply, or makes a decision on the 15th day, he's got 4 days to comply.
Yeah.
I don't see we have any other option.
I don't think so either, Jennifer. I agree with you. So I'm looking at a solution here where we say that Mr. Poole, the defendant, however you want to word it, will transfer. I'm trying to write this down. It says Mr. Poole will transfer
I don't think we can order him to transfer them to SPCA because we have not heard back from them, and we are now binding a third party. We can't do that.
I think Robin said that they're willing to try
House the dogs, but they didn't say they were willing to take custody of the dogs. So I don't think we can, yeah. So we can, I think we can order him to place the dogs in temporary housing at the SPCA, but that's as far as we can go because we have no authority to bind the SPCA.
Mr. Poole will place the 2 dogs, and can we get their names again? Can we? I don't want to bring any humor into it, but there's been a lot of names.
Right. Zoe and Hilda are the official names they're going by now. But you can, you know, in parentheses, we ought to have like Willow after Hilda, just so everybody understands which dogs are. Yep, there we go. Thanks, Robin.
Okay, I'm working on it here. Give me a minute. Trying to get it worded correctly so that everybody can agree. Give me a minute. Okay, what I got so far is Mr. Poole will place the 2 dogs, Zoe and Hilda, for housing at the SPCA within 4 days from the date of notice of the disposition of the commission's recommendation to the chief of police or designee. That's the first sentence. Let me say that again. Mr. Poole will place the 2 dogs, Zoe and Hilda, I hope I got the names right, for housing at SPCA within 4 days from the date of notice of the disposition of the commission's recommendation to the chief of police or designee.
Well, actually, I think the first sentence needs to be, the first question we have to decide is, do the dogs get returned to Mr. Poole? And so we're going to say that the dog should be returned to Mr. Poole with the stipulation that, and then everything you said, Ed, but I don't think it's the date of disposition from us. It's within 4 days of the chief of police, the chief of police's disposition.
That's what I said here.
I thought you said from
the date of the notice of the disposition of the commission's recommendation to the chief of police or designee.
Right, not the day we recommend it to the chief, the date
Correct.
the chief makes the
The
decision.
date of notice of the disposition. Okay, I'll switch that around.
Okay, I'm good with that.
Of the chief of police or designee to the commission's recommendation. Okay, we'll do it that way. Okay, so you feel that we must return the dogs to Mr. Poole first, with the condition that he places Zoe and Hilda for housing at the SPCA within 4 days of the date of the notice of the chief of police or designee's disposition from the commission's recommendation. Does that sound better?
Yes. Now I have one more question. Do we have to add anything onto that? Like, you know, I mean, like when the SPCA can.
I think we do have to put something in there. That's why I'm kind of wondering about if we give the dogs back to Mr. Poole and then the SPCA situation does not work out, then they are the property of Mr. Poole.
So I think that
So I don't think that should give them back to Mr. Poole in our recommendation. First off, I think that they should be placed for housing at the SPCA.
We can't do that. We don't have the authority to bind the SPCA. They're not here and they're not a party to this case. We don't have the legal authority to do. We can't even make the recommendation. The only thing we can do is determine under this type of petition whether or not those dogs go back to Mr. Poole or they remain with animal control. Those are our only two options.
Well, if that's the case, then we're kind of, if we start this recommendation out with the dogs be returned to Mr. Poole and put our conditions on that, and the SPCA, it doesn't work out, then they get returned to Mr. Poole and we're back to square one.
Well, that's why I asked if we should add, Matthew, I'm sorry.
Well, the SPCA is, they're experienced, they know what they're doing. There will be a whole decision-making process, including Mr. Poole, should they be unable to house them. They might have fosters that are available to them. It's not like, oh, can't house the dogs, take them back. They'll figure something out.
But they won't be theirs to figure something out for is the problem. Mr. Poole will still make the final decision. So I would suggest adding on to that he place the dogs with the SPCA for temporary housing and that he be required to follow all of their recommendations, because he's the one who has to make the decisions at the end of the day. We can't tell the SPCA. Do you understand what I'm saying? The difference?
Yeah.
So we're telling him if SPCA says do X, Y, and Z, by accepting this ruling, he's got to do X, Y, and Z. What we can't do is tell the SPCA,
right,
they're your dogs, you make the decisions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So we're going to return the dogs to Mr. Poole with the stipulation that he place them for temporary housing with the SPCA and follow all of their recommendations going forward. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yeah, I'm agreeable to that.
Now, should we cover in our recommendation any possibility that SPCA says no after this, even though Robin talked to him? Like you said, we can't force them to take them.
If the stipulation can't be met, then he doesn't regain.
And they remain with the county, and the county will decide further disposition of the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you got that, Philip?
I think that's by default, just by operation of law. If you can't meet the conditions, then.
Yeah. Okay. Just want to cover the basis here. It's difficult. It really is. This is one of the most difficult cases that I've seen come across this commission since I've been on it. It's emotional, heart-wrenching situation that thank God they don't come along that often. And I sincerely hope that Mr. Poole gets the assistance he desperately needs, and that the benefit of both him and the animals can be positive from this point on. So we're giving them an avenue to go. We're trying. So, Phil, if you want to read that back to us, I'm sorry. I know it was a lot of back and forth, but I see you taking notes. And if you want to read.
Yeah, the recommended motion that we don't have a motion yet was that the return of the animals, they should be returned with the conditions that the dogs be housed at the SPCA within 4 days of the chief's decision, that Mr. Poole must follow the SPCA's recommendations for the care of the animals, and that if the SPCA is unable to take them from animal control, that they not be returned.
Does that satisfy everyone?
Yeah.
Okay. Do I hear a motion to accept that?
I make a motion that we adopt a decision as read by Mr. Hall.
I'll second it.
Read and seconded. All in favor? Yes. Okay. I sincerely hope that goes well. Okay. Before we close, does everybody have a copy of the minutes from the past meetings? After everybody's had a chance to look at them, I make a motion to accept the minutes. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Minutes for past meetings as documented have been read. And I guess our next, what's that?
I just need everyone to all in favor.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry. All in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, yeah. Is there any more business before us today?
Just adjournment.
Okay, then I need a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you all.
Second.
Seconded.
All in favor this time? I got it right? Okay.
Thanks,
Thank you all so much.
We really hope this works out, Robin. We really do.
Yeah,
All of us do.
I really do. It's just heart-wrenching, heart-wrenching. I wish them all the best. You guys have a great week. I'll see you next month.
Have a lovely one.
Bye-bye.
Adios.